Hi, this is Kim Robitaille, John and Josh Lyons Certified Trainer, showing you a brief video clip of a pick-me-up lesson, so ultimately having Ice come to the block on cue to pick me up. Continue to establish my role as her leader. This particular clip was taken on day 2 of training for this lesson. So I had begun to teach this to Ice on the line last fall, and just starting to pick it up again now offline, establishing what Ice remembers from that particular lesson. And you can see that she remembers enough that she wants to come to the block at this point. This is where she's at. She just doesn't know where in relationship to me on that block that she needs to be. So you're going to see her come up behind me a lot, and me just having to reposition her, which is fine. So just establishing that this is where she needs to be. This is something that many of us have seen online. I thought it was just a fun thing to play with. I think it's a solid exercise to teach any horse that wants to walk away when you're mounting from the block. I think it's a wonderful thing to teach. You can see now that as I drive her, she really doesn't want to go away from the block. But again, and I have to laugh when she does that she's just not sure where she needs to be. She knows that she wants to be there, but she's not exactly sure where. So just by helping her with a little bit of added pressure and then some positive reinforcement when she's in the spot that she needs to be. Eventually repeating this enough, and she's going to learn this exercise very solid, and she'll have it down. Obviously we're doing this in the arena right now. As soon as the footing outside gets to be so much that I can practice this out there, I'll take it outside into a smaller enclosure, then a larger one, then we'll add some horses to the mix, and so really keep up in the ante until she's solid on it in pretty much any situation. So now I'm going to drive her at the lope. I hadn't done this off the line with her yet. This is the first time, just to see once they start moving around at the lope, their emotions tend to get up, and they don't do as much thinking perhaps. But I'm happy to see that she's coming back to the block again, and with a little bit of help to reposition her in exactly where I want her to be. So the fact that she's coming to the block really makes me happy. I'm happy for that she is kind of starting to think that that's where she wants to be. She certainly doesn't want to be working away from that block, which is what I tend to have her do when I send her out, is do some work. She certainly doesn't want to be doing it, and would certainly prefer to be in a place where there's no pressure. So again, send her off again at the lope. Now I've sent her off with a little bit more pressure this time, just to see how she's going to do. As she comes around, step up on the block, which ultimately is my pre-cue right now. Eventually will be my cue, and you can see her just sort of float on by saying, ooh, this is fun. So I have to give her a little bit of a stronger cue to say, hello, we're working over here. And she's like, oh, okay, sorry, my bad. Is this where you want me to be? And I have to say, no, not quite. Good try, but this is kind of where I need you to be. So this is kind of where we're at right now. I'm super happy with what she's retained since last year, and we'll continue to work on it. So again, starting to just get the emotions up there, and because ultimately there's going to be a lot of distraction around me when I'm doing this with her. We're not going to be by ourselves, so we're going to be there could be lots of horses around, lots of distraction for her, and I still need her to respond. So raising her emotions at this level is good for her. So now you can see this is kind of cool that she did what she's doing right now, because she hasn't learned this lesson. Despite the fact that she comes to the block more often than not, she hasn't learned it. So that was a point in time where she's saying, I think I'm supposed to go over there. And then just a little added pressure from me to reposition her again. So I was really cool that she did that, because it really shows the horse thinking. I love to watch the horses think as we work, not just react to things, but actually think their way through a situation. So that was pretty cool that she did that. So again, lots of positive reinforcement that, yeah, this is where you want to be. You'll see her licking shoe there once in a while, and just kind of liking that. Everybody's starting to shed now, so a little bit of scratch never hurt. I certainly enjoy that. So it's important to note too that she doesn't move away from the block until I tell her to. I think that's super important. That could become a habit real quick, where you get down and the horse sees that as a cue to leave. So I made sure that she knew that she doesn't go until I tell her to go. So you can see there at the trot, she's fairly solid at the trot, where she knows that she really wants to be at that block. So sending her off at the lope is kind of where we need to work now, obviously, because again, emotions get heightened at the lope for her, and so it requires, the lesson has to be more solid at the lope as opposed to the trot. I think it's a super, super, super lesson to teach a horse. It's fun. It looks pretty cool when you can do it. But more than that, it's controlling the horse's feet. And for me, ultimately, controlling the horse's feet is controlling the horse. I've always been fascinated with trainers who are able to do liberty work with their horses and have them do things that just amazing things without being physically attached to the horse. I've had great respect for trainers who are able to do that. So you can see her really glued to that block right now, and she's like, oh, I don't want to go. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So again, just reinforcing with her that, yes, that's where I want you to be. So ultimately, she and I have the same goal. I don't want her running around the ring. I want her where she is right now. She doesn't want to be working in the ring. She would rather be standing there, having me love on her like that. So ultimately, we're working towards that same goal. Okay. So again, cue her to leave the block, which again I think is a very important thing to make sure that when I step down, I don't automatically have her move away from the block, because she'll start to see that as the cue, and I don't want her doing that. So again, send her off. It's becoming increasingly harder to send her off, where you can see that she starts to make her circle smaller. She goes less and less as she's going to want to go away. Again, not entirely sure exactly where she needs to be, so I'm going to reposition her and sort of add pressure to her until I have her where I want her to be. So in between practice sessions, I was kind of playing around a little bit. Again, I do have a lot of respect for people who are able to move their horses around and about with simply using their body to do that. This is something I play with Ice quite a bit, making sure that she's attentive to me in every way, what direction we're going, what speed we're going, so that she's really tuned in to me. And for me, that's pretty cool. I think that's really, really, really important. You might not have to take it to that level, but I think having a horse respect you should be everybody's ultimate goal. So again, I'm going to send her off again, and we repeat and practice and practice and repeat and preat until we have it solid. And then, like I say, then I'll take it out of the arena where we're by ourselves. Maybe I'll bring another horse into the arena and do it first, or we're going to add some distraction to the mix once she has it solid, so that so she can respond, amidst any kind of distraction. So again, sent her off. It took a while. It took a bit of pressure to get her to go, but I ultimately want her thinking. You can see her licking and chewing there, so she's starting to get that idea. And we're going to keep playing with this until she's super solid. It's a fun exercise. I encourage you to get out there and play and do some new stuff with your horse. It's a lot of fun. So again, this is Kim Robitaille, John and Josh Lyons trainer. I do live in Clarence Creek, Ontario, Canada. You can reach me at 2 Minds 1 Ride on Facebook, or 2minds1ride@gmail.com is my email. I'd love to hear about you and your horse. If you have any questions about this particular exercise, if you'd like to see any more, just let me know. Take care.